Hello everybody, this is David Blair, the Crosshairs Trader. I appreciate you being here with me today. What I want to discuss is the weekly charts. Crosshairs Traders look at the weekly chart to give us an idea of the direction for possibly the next few weeks to months. For our trigger charts, which is our daily chart, and then we have an intraday signal which is superimposed upon our daily chart, and that's what we call an itch and a crosshair. Crosshairs you can see here, and then a lot of times there's a crosshair and there's an itch behind it. You can see that here. So there's actually two signals going on at the same time, but you know it's a crosshair because it actually forms a crosshair. And then there are times when there's simply an itch without the horizontal line. But what we look for in the weekly charts is we look for direction, whether it's a trend, breakout, or even a signal. And what I want to talk about today is the signals we've been having over the past few weeks that could give us a potential trade on our smaller charts, our daily and our intraday, over the next few weeks to months. Let me give you an idea of how we use this. Here's Disney. Disney, back at the beginning of the year, had a DCH. A DCH simply tells us, and also in October of last year, tells us that there is a potential crosshair setting up on our smaller chart. So to be mindful of that. Of course, our software then will turn around and give us the signal on our daily or intraday chart. But at least we know, looking at this chart, that the weekly is giving us a signal for a possible trade entry. So starting back in October of 2010, we can go over to our daily chart right here, and you can see that there has been several opportunities to make a trade. Back in November, we actually had from the weekly a DCH right here, and then after that an itch, and then another itch, and then another itch. So there were several opportunities to trade Disney after the signal on the weekly chart, but we do wait for signals to occur. Alright, we're going to look at both bullish and bearish chart, weekly chart. So let's take a look at one bearish one. Best Buy from the weekly chart gave a DCH back at the end of last year, beginning of this year. You can see that here. It's an ugly chart, by the way, doing this here. But we had a DCH here at the beginning of the year, and then we can go back and we can look at our daily chart and see if there has been any signals since then, and the answer is yes. We've had a couple of crosshairs and an itch for a potential down trade. So those are the things that we look for. So let's take a look at what's firing on the charts right now, and these are twos. You can see the twos here, and then threes. That means there was a long 2 weeks ago, a long 3 weeks ago. Okay, and then when we get to the bearish ones, a short 2 weeks ago and a short 6 weeks ago. We haven't had that many shorts. Haven't been trading the market short. We've been trading it long. But let's take a look at some of these. NOG, give you an idea. NOG obviously has been trending up. We got a DCH 2 weeks ago, LO2, and now we're getting a potential itch. The last itch was back in November, but an itch here, which is giving us a potential long trade. SLW, silver is back on a tear again. SLW is giving us a nice little V-shaped pullback here. Strong back up. I don't particularly like to trade these right here at the breakout. I would prefer to wait for it to break out. So I'll be watching it on the daily chart. You can see that here, to possibly rest in this area and my software actually gives us support and resistance areas from the weekly chart. You can see that here and here. I've got that programmed, but I'm looking for it to rest in here and then possibly give us another trade on SLW. VIV. VIV, you can see DCH on the weekly. Nice trending stock. And looks like it's breaking out, trying to on the daily. So we've got an itch firing here. You can see that. CH71, CH79 means the stock's been in consolidation. We can see that. APD, again, 250C, which is a directional indicator. We got a DCH, and now we can start watching this one for a potential trade. Okay. ARCC, again trending on the weekly. Got some resistance here, but the next resistance is at 2055. Daily chart is consolidating, so we're waiting for another breakout possibility. BID, DCH on the weekly. Resistance is quite a distance away on the weekly chart. After it gets through the one from this week, which is right here, next resistance is quite a ways away. In fact, let's take a look. Around 56 level. Okay, so we're watching our itch here to see if it can hold the potential breakout. BMO, Bank of Montreal, has been consolidating for months, actually since April of last year on the weekly chart. Now it looks like it's trying to break out. It does have some resistance, several points away, so we'll be watching that. We can see that on our daily chart right here, but there's still plenty of room to run. Let's see where that is, somewhere around 66, 65 to 66. BRFS broke out of a resistance level on the weekly. It does not have any resistance now, so we're watching consolidation and a potential trade on the daily chart. CNQ, Canadian Natural Resources, same thing. Had an area in which it had some potential resistance. Steadied there and now heading higher. Again, resistance is not till around the 55 level. And the daily chart actually fired us an itch already. DECK, Deckers, seems it just continues to go higher. And you can see the last DCH was in October, and the last itch was in October, November on our daily charts. And you can see that here. Could be getting ready to set up for another trade for us on the daily chart. We don't know it yet. JCI, again, fired 3 weeks ago. Got some resistance overhead. Trying to work on a continued trend higher. LRCX, DCH on the weekly. Got some resistance for right overhead right here. Okay, so we need to watch that. Alright. OXY, broken out to an all-time high. DCH here, we had a crosshair here, and now we're consolidating again 3 weeks ago, and then we had an itch about 2 weeks ago, and now it's consolidating again. Several traders traded that in the Crosshairs community and did well on OXY. Starbucks, still waiting on a potential signal on Starbucks after a DCH on the wiki. VFC, VF Corp, actually located here in my state, home state. DCH on the weekly after a couple of gaps up, so with that big gap we're going to wait and let it relax a little bit, then potentially have a trade. VMED, same thing. It's had a nice couple of 3 weeks up. We're going to let it relax a little bit. We know where the support level is on the weekly. and then could go up to the 29 to 30 level. WYN, Wyndham Worldwide Corporation. DCH on the weekly and a crosshair, so now we're waiting on the daily for a nice potential trade. We haven't got a signal yet. Then some ETFs, XLB. We've got a directional signal here with the 250. We also have a DCH, so now we're waiting on a potential trade after the last one. We've had a couple of itches here. XLP, same thing. Consumer staples, consolidating. It gave us an itch. Consolidating, waiting on the next move. XME, same way. Consolidating after a couple of itches, waiting on the next move. XRT, no signal yet on the daily. That's your spiders for retail. And Yum's had a beautiful pullback on the weekly chart. Now it's given us another potential direction, and you can see that pullback on our daily chart. The last time we had a couple of itches, it went really well after a nice breakout. You can see that on Yum, had a nice breakout, and now it looks like it could be setting up for another trade. We had our last itch down in April here and have done nothing but trade it up. AXS, DCH on the weekly along with a directional, and now we're waiting for a potential trade here. The last few itches have been here and then toward where it had its earnings. Now it's rolled back over. Alright, those are the bullish ones. Let's take a look at 3 bearish ones, and we can look at them the same way. IGT has been consolidating lower highs though, so it keeps going down. Could have potential trade here. We do have some support level. That's on the weekly, and you can see it's trying to set up something on the daily, but it's going to be a while. Again, not much going on the downside stocks. Nokia on the weekly, you can see DCH got some support level here. If it breaks that, it could go quite some time. Nokia, you can see how the stock is very volatile. A lot of gaps, dojis. Just have to be careful with that one, but I'm just trying to give you some examples of opposite trades. CEDC on the weekly has been consolidating since April of last year, doing nothing but going sideways. If it can break down, could be a good potential trade if it can break down through these support levels that we have right here, the green line that's automatically adjusted in our software. Okay, those are the 3 downs. That's what I'm looking at on the weekly. These could change every week. We look for our signals on the daily and intraday charts, and always want to be on the side of the weekly charts and also what's going on in the general market. If you've got any questions, any comments, please contact me at david@thecrosshairstrader.com. Visit my site. It's free. Check out the blog post and stick around for a while. If you'd like an invitation to one of my Crosshairs University webinars that I do for members only, let me know. Be glad to let you join us free of charge for a session or 2. My name's David Blair, the Crosshairs Trader. See you next time in the Crosshairs.